Om. 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 Om Sri Mahaganadhipataye Namaha. Om Sri Saraswatyay Namaha. Om Sri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambham Vyasa Sankara Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sri Tapovan Sishyaya Namaha. Hari Om. We chant the Shanti Patha, which is the shown on the screen now. So let's chant it together. Om Apyayantu Mamangani Vakranaschakshrotramatho Balamindriyani Jasarvani Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam Maham Brahmanira Kuryam Ma Brahmanira Karot Nirakara Namasva Nirakaranam Me Astu
Tadatmani nirateya upanishatsu dharmaste mayi santu te mayi santu. Shanti shanti shanti.
We are now in verse number 4, chapter 2. I will chant that. Pratibodha viditam matam murtatvam hi vindate.
Record చేస్తాను.
Vindate viryam vidyaya vindate mrutam. I will chant again. Pratibodha viditam matam amrutatvam hi vindate. Atmana vindate viryam vidyaya vindate mrutam. Okay, we'll chant again. Pratibodha viditam matam mrutatvam hi vindate.
Atmanam vindate
vidyaya vindate mrutam. So we were discussing this, going over again briefly. Pratibodha viditam matam. Through every knowledge or experience, viditam matam is known, in my opinion, amurtatvam hi vindate. Only the consciousness is attained. When I say the word consciousness, you have to remember those 5 words, 5 characteristics I have told before. It is not an object of perception, adrushyam, avikaryam. It is not that changes. Anagapapayitvam. It is not that comes and goes, or it is permanent. It is all pervading principle called Satchit that enlivens all living beings. It is not a part or product or property of the body. So that is what the Upanishad is saying. Pratibodha viditam matam amrutatvam hi vindate. That amrutatva means that infinite conscious Satchit. That is itself is being experienced. Or when I say experience, it is wrong. It is not an object of perception. It is essentially being connected in every experience. The reason for that is, in every experience, as I said before, is like a projection on a screen, and the Nama Rupa are the characters that are moving on the screen, but behind it, there is screen. So in every experience, there is an object, there is consciousness. Unfortunately, our vasanas are also there. That vasanas prevent us seeing the screen behind, the support behind. Just like when we see a movie, when we go into a theater, there might be a blank screen, but as soon as the movie started playing, we forget about the screen. In the same way, although we are all inside consciousness, we are consciousness. Everything we see around is consciousness. But our attention is on the objects of perception, and then we don't see whether objects are there or not, consciousness is there. In fact, within consciousness, everything rises and plays and then also drops. While it is playing also, it is consciousness. While it drops also, it is consciousness. But we only looking at the play. And that's why we do not look at the consciousness that is supporting all of it. Now, how do we get there? How do we realize that? Atmana vindate viryam. Last week we talked extensively on it. When Atmana, in this context, that purified heart, intellect, it's called heart. When purified intellect is also sometimes called heart. With that, we realize this. So I have given you a couple of instances. What happens is there is a process involved in this. The process is everyone starts, typically an average human being starts with first bondage, dependence. Then as intellect exerts slowly, it becomes determination. So I was telling last week, if you look at this 5 fingers, you call this as body, mind, intellect, ego, and then Atman. Atman is all pervading, but we don't see it because ego, whichever is predominant vasana in us, it illuminates that. So if a predominant vasana is our body, then we want instant gratification, not delayed gratification. Because we want instant gratification, the mind also goes in this direction. Intellect is demanding, telling it, but they don't listen. Because they're programmed, they're more tamasic. That's what happens. So ego obviously goes with the whatever is strongest vasana in us. That's number one. Now, people who are more focused in life, and I also quoted a study by a professor, Christian Luscher. He studied mice, and they're programmed to getting a dopamine shot whenever they pull a lever. And once they get used to the shot, which is instant gratification, they kept on pulling it until they die. Because their resistance to independence is gone. So they become totally dependent. That is essentially body phenomena. Now, one step beyond that is when a person starts to exercise intelligence and differ the instant gratification by postponing in the interest of some goals he puts in life. And I have given a quotation. I quoted an experiment done by a Stanford professor by name Walter Mischel. Okay, in late 60s and early 70s with marshmallows. Sorry, this is done in late 60s and 70s. So even 4-year-olds, those who could differ for some time, they have actually proven to be more successful than who could not wait. I explained it in detail in the last class. But the point here is those who can delay instant gratification and do not get addicted to it, they're actually more successful in life. Actually, all Sanatana Dharma, the training in our childhood, meditation, and doing prayers, all differing. Concentration and also respecting elders, not eating anything at any time we want. So these are all prohibited in Dharma, Sanatana Dharma. So in such situations, excuse me, my grandson has just come. He's disturbing he's raising the table. So this is the issue with people who do not have self-control. They actually end up. Excuse 1 second. Sorry for the disturbance. So when we limit our potential to instant gratification, we also do not achieve much. So ability to use intellect and empower intellect a little bit more basically moves this equation closer to the intellect. That is delayed gratification. So in delayed gratification, you could have certain amount of success in life, material success. And many people who are happy, when you talk to them, they say, well, I also find fulfillment in social service because I share the success. So many of my classmates, when I meet them, sometimes we talk this. They say quite a few of them say they're very affluent, but they are happier when they were college days. Whereas some people will say, I'm happier now because I am able to financially support my temple project in the village, or I'm able to build a school in my village. I contribute to society. So what is meaning? They have find fulfillment by serving social service. So it is delayed gratification, but that's where normally the worldly success stops. In spiritual context, it is just the beginning. Exercising our intellect and independence, exerting independence, should lead to detachment. Then only a true independence will come out. That is freedom, absolute freedom. Swami Chinmaya used to say, freedom is nothing but intelligent self-control. So in fact, it's a very good book written by Swamiji. It is published in America called Self-Unfoldment. The very first chapter is called Freedom. In there, he defines freedom as intelligent self-control. I recommend it very highly to those who want to know fundamentals of Vedanta, because he quotes Atma Bodha, Vivek Chudamani, Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita in proper context, and take titles like happiness, what is happiness, like that. So in this context, detachment, if our pursuits in life do not gradually transfer into detachment, it would not be as fulfilling or full potential. So our karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga are actually designed for that purpose. So again, the ego, when it is conditioned according to the various tendencies, It only goes in that direction. So to reduce these tendencies, karma yoga is most effective. Okay. So number of thoughts would decrease by karma yoga. What we do, I will do my best, and rest I will leave to God. Okay. In that pursuit, what happens is we focus on duty at present and let the result be decided by karma phala data, who is Ishwar. So our number of thoughts would decrease. Okay. So we do work efficiently, we focus in the present, but we are not affected by the what will happen in the future, or we are not affected how we could not do it properly in the past, and we are not tense in the present. Oh, what happened? No, we're not tense because we are offering the result in the hands of God. So karma yoga is a way of detachment where we focus and increase our concentration into the present. Number one. Number two, we also have a sense of surrender to a higher purpose. That higher purpose in karma yoga is these instruments of action and perception are just instruments. The result is actually come from a bigger entity called Ishvara. So we are converting our senses of perception and senses of action as instruments, which they are. By having a goal in the heart, looking at that goal is to reduce number of thoughts and have pleasant experience doing work. Otherwise, you get stressed out. What karma yoga does is it reduces the number of thoughts in a scientific way. I can tell from my personal experience, I have become a lot more productive when I took up this formula. Do your best, leave the rest to God. It might happen in my own life. When I first heard karma yoga through one of the acharyas called Brahmachari Krishnamurtiji, and then tapes by Swami Chinmaya chapter 3, it changed my life. My performance at work improved, and I have become a lot more relaxed at working. I used to hate writing reports. I was very tremendously productive worker, but I would not write reports because I never liked the experience. After I got this message that how to control the mind and do the work properly, I was able to write reports, and I got promotion actually within a year. And this is a true story. So karma yoga decreases the number of thoughts, helps you to focus in the present, putting all these kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya aside, but focus on the work. And it's unbelievable practice. Because most of our problem is thoughts. Reducing the number of thoughts is the first step for detachment. And then we have to also surrender. Once you start getting a sense that there is some power behind it that is controlling it, then you focus on to one infinite existence principle, which in this context you may call it your Ishta Devata. Because Nirguna Nirakara means infinite God, all pervading Satchit is conceptually maybe difficult because your emotions are still strong. So instead of having no support, we go to a support system called Krishna or Rama or Amma. And then we substitute all the thoughts, even though they are decreased now, to one thought. G, God. God. Everywhere you got a thought, you change it to God. He will take care of it. He will take care. I will do my best. He will take care of it. And when you are free, you remember him or her. When you are very busy, karma yoga. And there God is there. When you are not busy, Krishna. So Ramakrishna Paramahamsa would say, doing Karma Yoga, one hand in the world, one hand in God. During Bhakti Yoga, both hands in God. But thoughts are also about God. Your actions are also taking support in Him. When you are quiet, you are also taking support in Him. Number of, that quality of thoughts increase. Swami Chinmaya used to call it, Bhakti Yoga increases the quality of thoughts. And then you are in a state of purity. Number of thoughts have decreased. Also, quality of thoughts. Even when you have thoughts, they are already focused to a higher principle than you, which is selfish entity. Then Jnana Yoga, which is the purpose of this, actually reverses the direction of thoughts. So as I said earlier, every experience has consciousness as a support behind, and then object outside, like this. A screen and then object on it. So the direction will change, means like this. That is what Jnana Yoga does. So in your heart of hearts, even the thought of two, you and your Ishta Devata, in your most inspired moments, you start experiencing oneness. Number one. Number two, even when you are working, when you have thoughts, you see them as thoughts through jnana, and then you look towards the consciousness side, and then you revel, and then efficiently detach from the rest of the things, and then focus. You do feel that there is, within consciousness, thoughts are rising, they are playing, and then you experience it as nothing but phenomena, and then you manage them, and then you discard them. So basically, Atmana Vindate Viryam. The three words fundamentally saying, through that pure intellect, which can control the rest of the impulses, Karma Yoga helps you to reduce the number of thoughts by giving a purpose. Bhakti Yoga to reduce the quality of thoughts, having a surrender to a higher cause. And then Jnana Yoga, reversing it. So you actually, Atmana Vindate Viryam. That Atmana means purified intellect. So if you look, imagine a sun shining in buckets of water. As tamasic mind, reflection is not seen at all. Then you use Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, you gradually, rajas will also reduce. So basically, tamasic mind is not suitable. Basically, they are only fit for immediately for instant gratification. So that is up to first two maximum. Have some goal in life, like as I said before, a worldly goal or some fulfillment in life, delayed gratification. That's all they can do. Then next one is waters are moving, rajasic. There you can apply Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Then it becomes Sattvic. Then Sattvic, you again continue same Bhakti Yoga and same Karma Yoga, but your vision changes that the world is really not permanent. It is a temporary. Viveka becomes stronger, and you actually revel in self. that actually culminates in having no need for water, no support. You actually merge into the sun. So it's almost like the bucket being kicked out. Water is gone, but you merge into the sun. The reflection is now merged in sun. So if you look at that way, Atmana Vindate Viryam is a comprehensive statement that when the intellect is pure, Vindate Viryam means fulfillment is gained. Fulfillment means you live in the present. You don't look, you don't search outside. It's not the end. Vidyaya Vindate Amrutam. The last step, which is Jnana, is Amrutam. Vidyaya Vindate Amrutam. It removes the ignorance totally. When ignorance is totally removed, we become Amrutam. Means that infinite existing consciousness. Vidyaya Vindate Mrutam. Last three words. So, Atmana Vindate Viryam gives you a kind of indicator how to purify our intellect and have a situation where your heart can revel when Vidyaya Vindate Amrutam. At that point, Vidya, the Upanishad Vidya, will actually detach us to freedom, which is perfect freedom or happiness. So, to kind of re-summarize this verse, because there's a lot in this verse, it is actually most important verse in this Upanishad. So, a spiritually enlightened person sees spirituality or the existence of bliss, totality of happiness in every experience. Now, Pratibodha Viditam Matam Amrutatvam Hi Vindate. I will give this in a slightly different perspective. Most of you might like this also. That perspective is the way I look at myself. I see the world outside. If I stop at the body level, everything is consciousness only. What is existing inside consciousness is also existence. But it is a created, illusionary, virtual experience. That's the problem here. That's why it is so difficult to get us out of this, because we are caught up in a illusionary, virtual, imagined world. Just like we are caught up when we see a rope in a twilight, small movement because of wind, we think it's a snake. It was always a rope. Snake was never there. But same thing with our experiences also. The vasanas create those waves. Vasanas create their tensions, disappointments. But it was always Atman only. So what Vedanta does is change the understanding. That's all in the beginning. And then once understanding is changed, Pratibodha Viditam Matam. So if we stop at the body level, we also see on the screen only at the body level. We see the people at the body level. We see food, which is body level. We see senses, instant gratification, which is body level. Wherever we actually live, mentally, spiritually to the point where we are able to leave, that's the point only we are able to connect. If we live at the mind level, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, all these things control us. Some situations, some people will like, some people who don't like, and suddenly we always think about them or not think about them. So we never really stop. We only stay there only. At the intellectual level, by and large, scientists nowadays only think Atman. They don't even consider there is consciousness. They only look at everything as matter and then matter transformation. Or any ideas that we have, like Vaiseshika, I was telling Nyaya, Yoga. Yoga also, they don't think consciousness is infinite, all pervading. They say when mind stops, samadhi. But that's also not the end. That much they can go. Sankhya and yoga, they go up to that point. So whereas Vedantins say everything is pure consciousness, within consciousness there are appearance of various things, but they are virtual, they are not absolute, just like a snake on a rope. Even the knowledge that we gain by spiritual teaching is correcting the mistake. There is no change. We remain as we are, but we go all the way up to the Amrutattva level when we look at things. When we look at it, we go all the way to Amrutattva level and say, Shivoham, Shivoham, Shivaya Gurave Namaha, Shivaya Gurave Namaha. As you see animals walking, you see consciousness first, then the matter next. Shivaya Gurave Namaha. Like that. When you see other people, Shivaya Gurave. Agitations, they have already been neutralized through Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga. One of our Swamijis beautifully used to tell what happens to Kama. He says Kama decreases, and get replaced by fulfillment. You don't have expectations from others because you're already full. Sitaprajna. Krodha, anger, changes to forgiveness. A little fellow, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He will change. Because you see bigger picture. Lobha, everything you want, greed. Lobha changes to dana. What can I do for you? Within our capacity. Delusion, moha. Moha changes to knowledge. There's no snake there. So you stop at their level of Amrutattva, and then you connect at the Amrutattva level, and you ignore his comments or her comments, or his appearance or her appearance, because you have substituted that as just a phenomena that comes and goes. When you are full, world looks full. Simple. Vedanta is that simple. Whole purpose of journey of Vedanta is realizing that you are full. You are never dependent. It is only you only thought you are dependent. That erroneous understanding goes away and you remain full. That is freedom. So the 4 steps, when you go through the 4 steps, dependence, determination, detachment, independence or freedom. When you go through those steps, when you look into the world around you, you also look, they are also independent, they are also free. Whole world is in fact Amrutattvam vindate. So pratibodha viditam matam Amrutattvam hi vindate. Every contact you make, you stop at the consciousness level. Because you are looking at consciousness level. Now, if you talk Can you talk at the conscious level? No. You invoke body, mind, and intellect at the transactional level. You don't sign your signature as Brahman. You only sign your name only. Because you have the control. These are all the equipment that are operating within you for transactional purpose. You are that, they are not you. So one more point, then we'll move on to the next verse. In the beginning, when you have goals in life, you look at the future as a goal. Then when I do this, I have more fulfillment. So either as a delayed gratification and through a goal, or a career fulfillment to the goal. Then slowly detach, and then realize really you are never attached. You imagined you are attached. Just like a imagined snake was never there. In the same way, you are never attached. You only imagined you are attached. Vedanta changes the understanding that you are always free, but you did not know. You just noticed, realized it to the Guru's teaching. What happens at that point? You still have long term, short term? No. The long term and short term, all these things came because you are projecting happiness in certain future condition. A pure Vedantin, a spiritual giant, actually lives in the present. It's extremely important point. I've seen Mahatma like Swami Chinmaya Maharaj. He would give a talk on stage and he will come down and he can see. When you're looking into your eyes, you can see. When he's sitting by himself, you can see. He's just revealing himself in the present. That is spirituality. So don't take it for granted that long-term goals will then spirituality even longer. No, it's not like that. Everything collapses. Even time, space, concepts collapse. When you look at the sky, you feel you are connected. In fact, that is the best meditation for those who are enthusiastic. Within the sky, Chit and Sat is Sat Chit is. Imagine totality of existence. Within that, we are all just players. And then drop it. Then just remain. So, Pratibodha Viditam Matam Amutatvam Vindate really means you stopping at the consciousness level when you look outside. Reverse and look at the screen. And then no talk. No need to talk. Only talk if there is a need, as a duty, as a father, as a mother, as a social worker, as an employee or whatever. You invoke the required qualities and transactionally do it. Other times, be yourself. Do not give reality to new thoughts and then maintain them and then complain. You live in the present. Live in the present means do not engage in gossip. Do not project happiness in objects. Happiness is your nature, be yourself. Nothing can give you more happiness. With that, this is the most beautiful mantra, and I'm sorry we have to move on. It is enough if we fully understand what it says. Next mantra is also important, probably second most important mantra in this Upanishad. We will take that. Iha cheda vediti atha satyamasti. Okay, I will start again. Iha cheda vediti atha satyamasti. Na chediha vediti mahati vinastihi. Na chediha vedin mahati vinastihi. Bhuteshu bhuteshu vichitya dhiraah Pretyasmallokad-amrita bhavanti. Iha cheda vediti adha satyamasti. Na chediha vedim mahati vinashtihi. Bhuteshu bhuteshu vichitya dhiraha. Pretyasmallokad-amrita bhavanti. This is probably second most important mantra of this Upanishad. Iha cheda vediti adha satyamasti. That teaching that is just completed, that in every experience there is consciousness, that is you. Iha cheda vediti. If you know that here while living now, adha satyamasti. It is real experience of truth. Right now, then satyamasti. Another way to say it is your life is become valid, fulfilled. Purpose for which you are born. Nachediha vediti. Nachedaha vedit. Mahati vinashtihi. Nachediha vedit. Mahati vinashtihi. If you don't gain that supreme blissful existence among living things, Mahati vinashtihi is a great loss of life. This is Upanishad is crying. Bhuteshu bhuteshu vichitya dhiraha. In every existing being, bhuta means that came to exist. Bhuteshu bhuteshu, in every entity that has come to being, vichitya, having done the discrimination, as I was saying, consciousness, object and consciousness, you reverse, put consciousness first. And then see object, then you say it is just an appearance. Bhuteshu bhuteshu vichitya, in every being around you, vichitya, having discriminated what is real, what is unreal, what is comes and what goes, what is temporary, what is permanent, what is changing, what is changeless, what is seen, what is unseen. Unseen is the total existence principle in everything. Satchit. And you, at that stage of being, Vichitya dhiraha. Dhiraha means that person who's mentally, spiritually conditioned properly to see as it is, not project vasanas. He has no kama, krodha, loha, moha, mada, matsarya. He doesn't have because he's not projecting them. They are not your nature. We project them, as I said earlier. They substituted them. Pretyasmal lokat amrita bhavanti. Once he has that, he say pretyasmad means having dropped jiva bhava or having dropped the body. Jiva bhava Bhagavan Shankaracharya takes most of the context like this. Jiva bhava means identified with the body, mind, intellect, consciousness mixed. Consciousness cannot get identified because consciousness is independent principle. So it is called Chidabhasa. In technical language, it's called Chidabhasa. I'm not going to use that because most of you can be more comfortable with Jiva Bhava. Jiva Bhava means I am this entity, I am this much, I am this much. And this is only where I think I exist. But this is element through consciousness, that consciousness caught up in this body, mind, intellect complex is not consciousness, but Chidabhasa, just like sun reflected in the bucket. That is only not true consciousness. True consciousness cannot be bound. It is infinite. Ever existing. That's why we are ever existing infinite principle. Always. We just mistook. Vedanta is not telling you, you get something new, you are getting something new. No, you are losing what you unnecessarily added. And then you are unloading it, and then suddenly you realize you are always that. Basically, on the rope snake example, you might mistake rope for a snake, but it was only a mistake. In the same way, Vedanta always says you are always full. So maintain that fullness in your heart, in your mind, all the time. By mumukshutva, a desire for liberation. By sama, dhamma, uparama, like that, there is sat sampatti. These are some Vedantic terms. I just don't want to dump all of them at one time. But basically what it's saying is you acquire Viveka, Vairagya, Shat Sampatti, Mumukshutvam. When you don't have Mumukshutvam, desire for liberation, you would not make a self-effort. The same way, when you don't have Viveka, when the thoughts come, you are not doing Viveka. You are not actually, what is real, what is unreal. You are not, the teaching is already telling you. What you are supporting inside you as a thought is unreal because it's going to move. But we maintain that by kama, krodha. So basically Vedanta is saying is you are maintaining it. So what you do? Bhuteshu bhuteshu vichitya dhiraha. So in every experience, in every being, instead of projecting kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, you only look for consciousness because the person is talking, Shiva. Person is smiling, Narayana, Krishna, whatever it is. You stop at the conscious, you go all the way. Don't stop at the confrontation level, stop at the level of oneness. Just be there. You don't have to talk. There's no need for unnecessary garbage. But then if the person engages, you only engage intellectually as is required. Because you know, on the back of your mind, you are that infinite existence and you are transactionally accepting jiva, jivahood. In order to accept jivahood, you have to invoke speech, mind. That's fine. From screen, you are taking a character. That only happens if you see Brahman in other person also. He doesn't have to see. You see. You don't complain. If you complain, then you have a problem again. You are creating unhappiness. So, bhuteshu bhuteshu vichitya dhiraha. One of our acharyas, Swami Bodhatmananda, doing a Vedanta course, he gave a beautiful example. What he said is, suppose you have a globe. Somebody brings you a globe of the world. A particular country. Let us say New York State, Syracuse, just for the sake of discussion. Then they will ask, the person asks you, what do you see? I might say Syracuse, because I live in Syracuse. Somebody might say, that's America. Somebody might say, oh, that is whole world, the whole globe. The finger is pointing, you are only looking at what your conditioning says. Somebody might say it's whole universe. Because whole universe, how do you show? Only by finger use. Whole Akasha, whole cosmos. It is true. All the statements are true. But it all depends on where you stop. Bhuteshu bhuteshu vichitya dhira. In everything you come see, you stop at the consciousness and then you share that vision. Pretyasma lokat amruta bhavanti. Having dropped the jiva bhaga, jiva bhava, Murta bhavanti. You become that infinite being consciousness. The 6 characteristics I mentioned. I'm now elaborating some more. This is extremely important verse. Why we live? Why we have come to this world? What is the purpose of the birth? Is to get out of this mess. Don't create more mess. So, ihacheda vediti aham atha satyamasti. Your purpose of coming to this world, universe is fulfilled by taking the birth, human birth is fulfilled. Bhagavan Shankaracharya says in Vivek Chudamani, it's a very famous verse. Durlabham traime vaitatu daivanugraha hetukam manusyatvam mumutshutvam mahapurusha samsrayaha. What is verse it is? Shankaracharya starts with this third verse. Vivek Chudamani. Durlabham traime vaitatu. Then what are those three? Manushyatvam. To be born as human being is durlabham. Why? There are 84 lakh species in the world. 84 lakh species, not 84 lakhs jivas. Each species also has several categories. Just take a frog. There are at least 20 categories of frogs. So 84 lakhs times 10, you can calculate. Even blade of grass is a jiva. Trees, plants. Durlabham traime vaitatu daivanugrahat hetukam. Infinite mercy of God only we got this body. Manushyatvam. They are born as human beings. None of the other species look for moksha. So, among the human beings were also rarest species to sit in the Upanishad class. To prompted by gurus or guru parampara, our parents or grandparents, Mahatmas. Mahapurusha samsrayaha. Even among those who met Mahatmas and took refuge in them, see how important it is. That is what the Upanishad is shouting or crying. Ihacheda vediti atha satyamasti nachedahi nachediha vedit mahati vinastihi. If you don't realize your infinite being existence, satchit potential, mahati vinastihi, it's a great loss. Nasta means loss. Vinastihi means supreme loss. Purpose of life itself is destroyed. Bhuteshu bhuteshu vichitya dhira. How do you do that? You keep on looking around you and stopping at consciousness. The person is talking, yes, consciousness. Person is breathing, yes, consciousness. You stop at the consciousness level, not at the mental levels where you are stuck. The where you yourself become by practice and sadhana, by negating unnecessary stuff and maintaining silence whenever you are free, not fancying new thoughts, new kama, krodha, lobha, moha. Lobha means always thinking about financial gains, whatever. It's not necessary. You think where you need to. This is the point I need to emphasize once again. By saying kama becomes fulfillment, krodha becomes forgiveness, lobha becomes dana. I'm not saying don't have desires, but have them transactionally. When you are needed to do that job, you do it. And you can do that when you isolate these two, Jiva Bhava and Paramatma Swarupa of our own total true self. And do that enough sadhana to maintain that in yourself. And to do that, you need sadhana chatushtaya sampanna, viveka, vairagya, shat sampatti, and mumukshutvam. We don't have desire for liberation. That is our problem. We don't do viveka, vivichya dhiraha. We don't do viveka. We just constantly engage in arguments. You see, Anitya, why do you want to waste your time? When you have viveka, you actually, this becomes natural to a short time. Then vairagya will automatically come. When you have viveka, 90% of problems, people that give problems, they don't look like they're giving problems. They're not capable. Because the anitya, vairagya will come right away. We are suffering more than they are intending, and vice versa. Everybody has one fellow or other bothering him or her. There is weird because we don't have vairagya is not there. The four qualities, of course, actually they are not there. They are actually 6 here. Sadhana Chatushtaya is called. Viveka, Vairagya, Shat Sampatti. It has 6. 6 plus 2, 8. Then Mumukshatva, 9. They call sadhana just because they package 4 of them in one of them called Shat Sampatti. The reason I'm mentioning this is these qualities, Viveka, Vairagya, Shat Sampatti. Shat Sampatti means Sama, Dama, Uparama, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhi, 6 of them. They are all intended to, Sama means mental poise. Now, if you're constantly thinking of X and Y, G and G, and then they're asking, how come I understand spirituality, but I'm not getting it? You don't want to get it. You don't have that desire. Mumukshutva is not there. Titiksha, constantly complying. No, small things come and go. Like that, if we take ownership, like Shankaracharya is telling, the Manushyatam is very rare, we got it. Let us take ownership and then try to manage in the interest of for happiness, absolute freedom. Nobody should control whether I should be happy or not. I should stop with consciousness level when I see a subject, object, and then negate rest of it by Viveka Vairagya. And then when I'm by myself, I should revel in that my pure being, which is eye of eye, mind of the mind, not in the mind. Speech of the speech. Don't keep on talking, just stop. Be silent. Enjoy it yourself. The Upanishad is wrapping everything together very beautifully. It's telling you, you are that infinite existence. You are mistaken to be something else. So you are engaging in that unnecessary stuff. Revel in yourself, and you are now infinite. The success or failure is in your hands. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. I will give a couple of examples, then we'll go. One way to say this is, bhakti enhances our ability to connect. So if you don't have that ability to connect, you don't ask questions for jnana. See, if you love somebody, you will inquire about that person. So if you talk about Ishtadevata, Vishnu, Shiva is your Ishtadevata, you meditate upon his qualities also. Then some of the qualities in there are Nirgunaya Namaha, Anantaya Namaha. So gradually, Nirguna Nirakara Jnana will come automatically. And then when you are transactionally, you still use bhakti also. So most people I know, they are very grounded in bhakti, including Swami Chinmaya Maharaj. They're always looking at the world as Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. They call Krishna as consciousness, but then they're all, at the same time, they are completely, when they're by themselves, they are connected with oneness. This is one way to answer it. Other way to answer it is, when you are connected with your direction of thoughts drop, basically it's like two sides of the same coin. They're not that different. Bhakti and Jnana are not that different. So bhakti builds that ability to abide in ourselves. And then you remove that support that are Krishna or Narayana, what or Shiva, you take it away. Then you still remain. So it took, so my answer would be, you continue upasana and let it drop by itself. Okay. And third way to say this is, karma and jnana, they are necessary for, karma and bhakti are necessary for jnana. So they find their fulfillment in jnana, but jnana is not possible without them to start with. Okay, believe that sentence, what I just said, okay? You continue doing karma yoga and bhakti yoga and jnana yoga, and let Narayana decide when he will call you for Nirakara Nirguna Upas, Nirakara Nirguna Anubhava. Okay, so ownership, leave it to him, but you do everything. Otherwise, people will go crazy. They start talking too much as jnani, and they drop everything, and they tell everybody also to drop, but nobody does anything. That's a problem with Karma, Ramana Maharshi also. They don't define who am I, how to do it, they don't inquire. Who am I inquiry is only truly possible if you know what that I stand for. Atmana Vindate Viryam, that I stands for pure heart. Then Viryam is possible. Who am I inquiry is very easy. Okay, so my suggestion is, don't think like that, do all them and reduce your vasanas, automatically you will get emerge into infinity. Anything else? You define what is looker. If you define looker as a person connected with the body, you stop at the body level. This is a problem. So who am I inquiry is a problem. Everybody cannot do it. If you stop at the mind level, who am I? You start with that emotionally only. You only stop there. You cannot go further. At intellectual level, you see the world as a manifestation, like that. So best thing is, to answer the question, looker and looked are not two. But you have to do it because you are asking the question. The question itself disappears when they become one. Jnata, Jnani, Jneyam. They become one when Atman itself is found as the source. The word I use, Chidabhasa, disappears and merges into, they are just like this reflected sun loses its identity when the water drops, when the water is drained. In the same way, the support system is our Sattva, Raja, Tama gunas for the questioner. The looking is actually a result of false thinking, but that false thinking has to be neutralized through karma, bhakti, jnana. And then the reverse of direction, where lookers disappears, is the ultimate. Okay. The third one is correct. Now, the way it is phrased can be confusing. Should we recognize the other one as consciousness? No. But there's no other one in consciousness. The problem is a classic problem. That's why Vedanta introduces Chidabhasa. I did not go into the technical term Chidabhasa. Chidabhasa is reflected consciousness in the entity called body, mind, intellect. Now, Chidabhasa can talk because it's not consciousness. It is consciousness conditioned with body, mind, intellect. And it is like a reflection of sun in bucket. So Chidabhasa can say, I am Brahman. But as Chidabhasa, no. As the consciousness principle where the water drops off in the bucket. Yes. So would it say at that point? No. Why? It's no need to say, because everything is only one. In the ocean, when you identify one wave identifies with other wave as water, then there's no dialogue needed. Chapter 6, Sri Krishna says, Sarvabhutastamatmanam, Sarvabhutani Chatmani. You look everything in you and yourself in everything. So there is no two. Ichhate yoga vittatma sarvatra samadarshanaha, Sri Krishna says. So if you understand that you are that infinite, you don't have to think any further. On the other hand, if you want to understand as a jiva or a chidabhasa, then you have to invoke inside you the chidabhasa just transactionally. Then if the chidabhasa is telling everything is God, that is fine. But consciousness would not say that, because consciousness is infinite. Okay? Very good question. See, how did the vasanas form at the first place? So Sri Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, Dhayato Vishayan Pumsaha Sangaha Teshu Upajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha Kamat Krodho Vijayate, 2 or 3 verses. We are responsible for forming vasanas. Then he also gives answer. Ragadvesha viyuktaistu vishayan indriyeshcharan. If you want to get rid of them, you don't engage, you don't contact the world incorrectly. Just like a knife, if you contact a grinding stone at a particular angle, it gets sharpened. But if you put it directly vertically, it gets blunted. So ragadvesha viyuktaistu vishayan indriyeshcharan. If you go without the ragadvesha, but you work in the world, then you are in karma yoga, that becomes karma yoga. Your tendencies will go away. So vasanas, how to reduce vasanas, the techniques are also given in Bhagavad Gita. And they always start with the fact that you are the owner. You started them. You can undo them, but you have to follow working, because Ragadvesha are inside you. Where you created them, there only you got to get rid of them. How you work in the society, but with a sense of surrender. Experiences will come, and don't attach to them, let them pass. My sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa. Bhagavan Krishna says, chapter 3, Karma Yoga. Sarvani karmani mai sanyasya. Karma here means result of action. Anxieties. Nirase, nirmamo bhutva. Anxieties, expectations, mamakara, bhutva. Drop them with dhasya and work in the world with a sense of detachment, using the body, mind, intellect as instrument. That is how only everything you accumulated will flow out. Because you got where you accumulated them, that's the only way you have to drop them. So detachment, but attachment in a proper perspective. Living in the world like that, offering surrender to Bhagavan will free us from tendencies and vasanas. That is the technique. Karma Yoga, first, reduce the number of thoughts, number of tendencies. Bhakti Yoga, improve the quality of the vasanas. This is actually answered very uniquely by Swami Chinmaya. And Jnana Yoga reverse this tendency, vasanas. Now, Mumukshatva is reversing vasanas. It is also vasana, reversing vasanas. Bhagavan Swami Maharaj, Swami Chinmaya Maharaj said this. Karma Yoga reduces the thoughts. Bhakti Yoga improves the quality of thoughts. Jnana Yoga reverses the tendencies. The thoughts or tendencies are the same. When it reverses, then you just collapse into oneness. Anything else? I think I'm done.